Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Hawaii Real Estate Podcast on the podcast platforms, but to Moving Hawaii here on YouTube, Core Team Hawaii's YouTube channel. Today we have a couple of remnant questions, a couple of leftover questions from, is it from the last live, Kenj?
Yeah.
From the last live stream. So as always, put your questions in, even if you're watching this after the fact. Not 100% of the time, but we try to get to them then the following week. And so if you have a burning question, ask it and then ask it the next week if we missed it, and we'll make sure by that time we'll probably get it right. But most times we get your leftover questions. And so today we have one from at Pujaey, Pujay or something, and then at Sonia T 4813. We're going to talk today. Oh, we also have a little bit of feedback from our clients, which we do from time to time. Little flowers from Mahe. And we're going to go over, I got a question about, I don't have a question. We had like a situation where a client wanted something in writing, and then it came up, basically can that be provided? This was actually a lender thing, but I felt it a good educational topic for everyone, both in podcast world and live here on YouTube. Can you just change things? How does real estate sort of work, right? And so I have on my screen here the purchase contract. If you're watching live, I have the purchase contract, or you're watching on YouTube, I should say, a blank purchase contract pulled up, in which I'll use that a bit for reference. Same for listing agreement, same sentiment, I should say, for listing agreements, basically same effect. And similar for lending. In fact, more strict on the we can't change anything on the lending side, but Jody's going to come in and talk about lending a little later, so we'll let her address that. Let's go ahead and give Mahi her flowers here. So feedback from Richard. When surveyed, so these are for our clients that we're in step with. We're either writing offers, we were in escrow, or they just closed escrow, or we're getting the home ready to list in the next couple of weeks in escrow on the sale side, or they just closed on their sale. So Richard says, we stay in touch with Mahe and we check the properties that have been listed. Mahe's been great! Exclamation. We're looking forward to purchasing a home with her. Awesome. Thank you, Richard, for the feedback. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and get to Sonia's question. So Sonia says, actually, Kenj, I don't know the answer to this. Okay. I didn't read the question until now. So Sonia said, interested in Timbers, Kauai. Is short-term rental allowed? I don't know. We occasionally do deals on the outer islands, but only when it makes sense. And in fact, last time I did a Kauai deal, I brought on a Kauai agent because I just could not know everything about Kauai. I could not necessarily be there. In fact, there was a great thing I did. So a lot of agents, I shouldn't say a lot, I see on social media sometimes, which I've drawn back from a bit, so I don't see it as often now, but I will see people say, I service all the islands. I'm like, what are you, an oil change technician? But anyways, like I do real estate on all the islands. When I, as a business person, and our team look at, should we go to other islands for all situations all the time, it's almost always a no. Because yeah, if the transaction goes smooth, and or if it's big enough, so if someone wants to buy 20 million on Maui, I could fly there 20 times and it could make sense, right? We could fly there twice a week for the duration of a 8-week escrow, and it would make sense. Rent a car and everything, because it's a $20 million home, large incentive, right? But in most cases, it just wouldn't make sense. And so the last home we did on Kauai, some things happened. Like there was like some leaking, and there was like a lot of logistics and project management that had to be done, and things checked up on that. Good thing we had someone on island, and I, from the beginning, did not look at it from a point of, well, I want to make all the money, and so I'm not going to bring anyone in. It'll be okay. I'll just have to fly there twice or once or twice for the inspection, and then I can earn everything. No, in fact, I could have easily referred this deal out, but the clients wanted me to stay in. So I said, okay, I'll help you, but I have to bring on this guy in Kauai. And so, anyways, that's a lot to say. I don't know about this, Sonia, but if you're very serious about it, we can get you connected with someone in Kauai. Puje, I look at that. I want to say Pua. Do you see Pua if you look real quick? Like yeah. Derek and Ma here, very informative, down to earth, and hardworking. Been watching you guys for a while now. Much love and respect. Keep on helping hardworking locals get into a home. God bless. I appreciate the comment. We appreciate the comment. Okay. So let me tell you what happened about this can you change paperwork stuff. We have a client, and this is no shade or no negative energy at all. We really, really like this client. Really, really love them, the family, the couple, and they were in a mode of high scrutiny and just checking things, reading every word of documents, which not most people do. I'm like that though. If I'm doing something new that I've never done before, like if someone's like, hey, we want you to do you want to partner in this business and you'll be a blank % owner if you invest some money, and our attorneys drew up the paperwork, I'm reading every single word. Now, maybe if I had do that 10 times a year, I don't. I just kind of look over the high points and I know how it works. But for big things, I'm reading every word. And this client was doing that, was reading every word and wanted one of the 3 solutions that the client came up with was put it in writing that I can do X, Y, and Z. It wasn't possible. But that's a good thought. And that's a lot of you smart people out there that watch the channel and either do or seek to do real estate business might think, oh, well, let's get it in writing. That's like I feel like that's when do you think let's get it in writing came about? I feel like that's like a post-industrial revolution, litigious turn of the 19th century sort of get it in writing. But who knows? Maybe it comes from the Greek Empire. I don't know. But let's get it in writing is a common, thought process. And that's where this person was going with it. And you just couldn't. But since a lot of people probably think that, I figured why not just talk about that a little bit today. We do so many of these lives and we talk about so much about neighborhoods and culture and just everything under the sun, Hawaii. I was like, let's get a little technical into the paperwork. So I have on the screen, if you're watching this after the fact, you may not be able to see. And Kenji, you'll have to let me know if there's comments because it won't let me go into the live stream.
I'll let you know.
For some reason. Definitely leave your comments and questions if you're watching live. Kenji's monitoring and I'll get my thing up soon. But yeah, so I have the purchase contract on my screen here. You can see that there are things that are fillable and then there are things that are not. So for example, I can change the address. I can change the name of the company. Let's go down. I can change the name of the companies that represent either side. I can change and manipulate the purchase price. So you want a little more down payment, less down payment. You want to strengthen your offer by putting a bigger earnest money deposit or initial earnest money or secondary deposit. Do you not need to do that? Because we're in a situation of high leverage where I'll put 0 earnest money. They've been sitting on the market for 3 years and now they need it. They got to go into escrow today or everything falls apart. They have a problem in which my money solves. And so I'm not giving them any earnest money. Now, usually like 1,000 is the minimum. However, there's nothing that says it has to be 1,000. It could be 0 depending on the situation. Anyways, I can change that. I can change things about compensation or concessions. I can change legal description. I could change whether or not furnishings are included. But let's go back to things that I can't change. I can't change things like agency disclosure. So you'll notice that this purchase contract, if you're not watching out there in podcast land, it says Hawaii Association of Realtors. Us realtors or realtor associates are typically this video is evergreen and some of this could change. There's actually some changes, going on right now, but historically we've been a part of the Honolulu Board of Realtors, not the Hawaii Association. So we're HBR, which is HBR is the like local division of the National Association of Realtors, like the society that has traditionally controlled the MLS, and that's actually where some of the problems come from. But there's also the Hawaii Association of Realtors. These are primarily a group of attorneys that get together and with counsel from agents and other people in the industry revise this and other forms and documents. And so this is standard verbiage written by attorneys. Long story short, TLDR, this is standard verbiage, and all of the things that aren't fillable are standard verbiage written by attorneys. And so agency disclosure, let me just read some of the type of thing that I can't change in a purchase contract, an official document. Agency, buyer and seller in a real estate transaction in Hawaii may retain a real estate brokerage firm as their agent. Notice they say firm, not Derek, Mahe, Aiden, Kenny. They say a firm because in effect, it's the entity, the company that we work with, which is eXp Realty. Could be Remax, could be whatever, right? We used to be at Remax a while back. They can retain a real estate brokerage firm as their agent. In such case, buyer and seller is represented by the brokerage firm and all of its licensees. Hawaii law requires real estate licensees to disclose orally or in writing to seller and buyer whom the licensee represents. So it has to be clear. We work for the buyer in this situation. We work with the seller in this situation. In fact, we don't do dual agency in the sense of Derek is representing John on the sale and Jane who's buying it at the same time. Now, it may be that Mahe represents or Aiden represents Jane while Derek and Mahe are representing John. That's a degree of separation that we can feel good about and do a good job with. But I myself, as a one individual, cannot be a fiduciary to both buyer and seller at the same time. And so we have to document that and be clear. There's verbiage about that dual agency here. Let's go down to some more of what we can't change. So where did I want to get, Jay? Where should we go? Staking and boundaries, inspection, maintenance, J1. Well, you know what? Let's do that. The section J1. I'm just going to skip around a little bit to give you a feel. We really do owe everyone a masterclass. I should say, like we should, even for our own efficiency, create a boring masterclass that is not one of our Sunday videos because it would perform horribly. But I'm overdue to put a whole video together running through all of these documents and giving hypotheticals and what ifs on all of them. But section J, general inspection of the property condition, property contingency. This is the big, and this is, people say J1. Even Kenji, who does video, he knows about J1. This is the home inspection. I could read through it, but basically it says you have a opportunity to bring in at the buyer. Let's read it. At the buyer's sole cost and expense, buyer will have the right to personally or by any expert, professional, or other representatives of buyer's choice. Meaning you could get a home inspector, but you can also get a roofer. You can also get an electrician. You get a plumber specifically. You can get the people you need, and the obligation of buyer to purchase property is contingent upon buyer's approval of the inspections. So you don't have to buy the property if you don't approve the inspections. And review of all matters described in paragraph I-5 within blank. So, it's the only thing I can change, or not even change. I just fill in the blank is, and I should have led with that. I was saying I can change this, I can change that. I can fill in the blank. So we can do a 7-day, we can do a 12-day, we do 14-day. What is customary? Well, customary, depending if it's a 45-day escrow, somewhere between like 10 and 14 days is kind of customary. If it's a 30-day escrow, especially post-COVID market where a lot of us have been trained to be a little urgent about these things, 7 to 10, maybe a little more customary. You get to like 12, 15, it's like half the entire 30-day escrow is a big open contingency. But side story real quick, at my old brokerage, when I was at the Remax, there was this broker, and she passed her broker's license, we'll say that. And I said, hey, I'm going to put a 1-day J1. And they're like, what? You can't do that. It's like, well, we're in 2021, the hottest, craziest market in the history of real estate in America, Hawaii, period. And my clients really want this place. And I've worked it out so that my inspector can actually inspect tomorrow at 8 a.m., about 16 hours from now. And so if we have findings, we will demand requests to extend J1, but you can come in. Jody's here. But in order for us to get accepted, we have to show this level of aggression. And she's like, but I've never seen that. I don't know if you can do that. I was like, well, I do. And you can. And we are. And we did. So Jody, come in. And so you can put whatever you want here. It's a fillable thing, but I'm not changing anything in the documents. In section I, mandatory seller's disclosures in real estate transactions. So I can manipulate when the seller is supposed to give the disclosures. I can manipulate when they would give an amended disclosure. So if the roof caved in 1 week into escrow, that's a new finding, and now they have to give us written notice that happened. All of these things I can change, and how long the buyer has to review such disclosures. But in terms of the remedies, if someone breaches the contract, general disclosures, etc., building permits disclosure, asbestos disclosure, hazardous waste disclosure, wastewater, mold disclosure, sex offender registration, aka Megan's Law. I don't change these things. I can't change these things at all. Since Jody's here and I want to get into lending documents a bit, let me show you where I can sort of affect things. This is in special terms. Now we have this. We'll get to the lending side. They don't have this, to my knowledge. But I can put Q1. What's something random? What's like a special term? I can put anything under the sun, really. Now, my broker may say, I don't think that looks good. My lender may say, I don't think that should be in the purchase contract. Yep. But in theory, I could put anything here. I could put Q1. Buyer may terminate this purchase contract on or before the 14th day after acceptance if the seller does not provide written proof that the roof has been conditioned with Roof Max roof conditioner. It could be that. Yeah. It could be whatever, right? We can, and the reason why this exists, because you got to figure this was written by attorneys. They look at a lot of real estate agents like, I wish you weren't even practicing. I'm not saying that HAR attorneys feel that way, but I'm sure there are a lot of attorneys who their job and their wish is to put as many boundaries on the agents as possible. But they've left this special term because on the realtor side of things, on the agent side of things, there's just too much. There's too many possibilities out there for us to not have this section to do creative things. It could be that the neighbor has a dog, but the seller said, no, that Cane Corso that barks all freaking day, they're renters and they are leaving end of the month. It's like, okay, well, I want documentation that that's happening or I'm not buying it. That would be a very fair thing. Now, could the next tenant come in and have two Cane Corsos? Like, sure. But it may be that we need documentation that their lease is up and they're leaving at the end of the month, or we don't have to buy this thing because I don't want to live next to that. We can do any number of things, but for the most part, the sentiment is we can't change the purchase contract. We can fill in certain things, and now there is strategy, right? So maybe I go like the 1 day. This is an extreme example. Maybe I go the 1 day home inspection period to show aggression, and then a basic agent on the other side is like, oh wow, they won't be able to back out after a day. Well, that's not true because we have all sorts of other contingencies. The HOA documents, we could review those within 10 days and say, we don't like whatever it says in the documents. It could be, I know that this is Villages of Kapolei, and Villages of Kapolei only has paper documents. And so they're going to have to get an actual physical binder and have it delivered to us. So there's no way they're going to get it to us quick unless they already have it in hand. But if they order it, get it, deliver it, so there is craft is my point. And core, Team Hawaii, CORE, is craft of real estate. That's how we came up with that. And so there is craft to crafting this document, especially in the special terms, even though a lot of it's fill in the blank and we can't just change things. Jody, the thing that sparked this, can you take my screen off? Is this person had a question.
Right.
And I stated earlier, we love them. They're great. They're awesome people. But we needed a good substantive topic. And the question is basically, can we put something in writing? Can we change things? We are able to manipulate and craft our documents. You guys can't really change anything. Is there anything that?
No. I mean, there's estimates like, okay, well, I offered someone a 5.5 at 0 points, and they're like, we can't pay the taxes were super high, property taxes.
Okay.
So the prepaid component is higher than usual.
Okay.
And so they're like, we were expecting closing costs to be more like 12K, not like 15K.
Okay.
So they're like, how can we make this happen?
So you can play with numbers.
Right. So obviously, okay, we can give you a 5.625 instead. And now instead of paying 15K, we got you down to 10, or what have you. But no, in terms of the verbiage, so like when we have people at final signing, even at initial, so
I guess that's what we're getting into, the things that you're signing your life away to.
Yeah. When you get an accepted offer, within 72 hours, there's an initial set of disclosures that go out, which we call the initial loan estimate and disclosure packet. And that is like 109 pages.
Huh? Yeah, I signed those.
And it's not one word in that can be changed. So it's either understand substance over form and execute, or cancel. Like, I mean, and it's not to say like, oh, we're just trying to be mean. Like, it's truly sign or cancel.
Because there is I could imagine the dominant, CEO being like, or just the normal person who is thorough. And because I'm that way. Remember the old team and people I used to work with when we met?
Yes.
When they met me, they're like, oh, he's very high C. He's very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, it's because we're at the start of a relationship. You guys have these agreements and you guys have all these things. And I'm smart.
Right.
And so I'm reading everything and scrutinizing everything. Once we get going, no. So someone could be very, a normal person who's very thorough and they know something's important. Or they might just be this like high-driven attorney, CEO type person who's like, well, I have some amendments I want. I'm sure you guys have come across that.
Yeah. And it's like one of them is like, I'll say any payment made greater than standard will go directly to principal reduction.
Wait, say it. Any payment
made greater than standard.
Made greater than the minimum required payment, standard payment.
Will go directly to principal reduction.
Oh.
Okay.
Because I've heard that. I've heard, hey, when you're going to make extra payment, make sure you tell them, you got to call them, make sure it's principal payment, or they might put them towards interest.
That's like an old.
Is that an old thing?
Yeah. That's like an old thing where it's like for principal only.
You had to do that like in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so there is a clause that speaks to the application of additional payments. it doesn't word for word say any payment made greater than standard will go directly to principal reduction, but it's a 7-sentence paragraph. Like, so no, it doesn't say. They're like, but you said
What does it say? Like, what is it saying it in longer?
It is saying it in many different ways because it's like, but if you have amounts in arrears,
notwithstanding
right,
for wording like that,
yes,
right?
if you have late fees that had previously accrued, then obviously it's not going to go to principal reduction. It's going to go to that first.
Yeah, like you're behind anyways, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot, but it's, and you know, and then there's always times where there is a like the default notice on the note, which this is now when we're talking about final signing, but where it's like, if you do not make a payment every month, you're in default, and then the first step of foreclosure can begin, basically. And I'm like, but that's not really how it works. So I'm like, you would have to be like 6 to 12 months default before the first step of foreclosure will actually begin.
Really?
Yeah. And they're like,
what the first step being list pendants, or is there something before that?
There's before that.
Okay.
A notice.
Oh. So they wouldn't even give the notice until 6 months in your experience?
Yes. Practically speaking.
Okay. I thought it was sooner. I thought it would be like 3 months.
No.
Okay. No. I've never done it, and most of our clients
no. You'll get like, hey, we know you're late.
Yeah.
You'll get a letter, but not a certified letter, which is the notice of default. That's an actual.
That takes like 6 months.
Yeah. And sometimes longer.
Yeah.
But so they're like, okay, where does it say that? I'm like, oh, no.
That does not mean be 6 months late if you're out there watching. Do not.
Don't be any late.
It's a screwed up system. You got to pay taxes. You got to pay property. Even if you own your home outright, you got to pay the damn man property taxes. And there's credit system, credit bureaus. I get it. We can commiserate, but it's the world we live in. Do not be late. Do not be late on payments ever.
Yep.
Yeah. Just want to make that super clear. Don't ever be late.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot. And when push comes to shove, it's like, I'm fine. We have someone that spent 6 hours reviewing the documents. So like he was reviewing and I was like on with him and then off, on, off for 6 hours. Cause I told him I'm not going to be on the phone with you for 6 hours.
Yeah,
I can't, I'm not doing that. But I was like,
I'll be available for 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the 6 hours, he was like, okay, I'm good with everything. I'm ready to sign every single document except this one thing I want. And he like lined it out and he was like, I want it to say this, and I was like, just a reminder. No.
Imagine going to Disneyland, and in the Disneyland, like when you buy the ticket, there's this disclaimer. You could get sick on rides. You could be crowded. It's a crowded place. All these things could happen. And you go to Disney and you go, I'm willing to come in today, but I need to speak to a manager. See this part? I'm going to need written notice that if I do throw up on the roller coaster ride, you guys are going to buy me new clothes or something. Or if someone else throws up on me, that's on y'all. I need written notice. They'd be like, I'm sorry, you just don't get to enjoy the most crowded place on earth today. Because we don't change that. We can't. We won't. That's kind of lending. Like especially lending, really kind of say our documents, I can't change the pre-written words either. And same, but in lending, there isn't even these like fillable, like they can't say, well, 30-year mortgage, we can just fill in the blank and make it 31 or 29. Of course you can do 15 and 20-year mortgages. However, there's not as much to change because it's a high, and not that actually a lot of times a lot more goes into the lending side than what we're doing once we're in escrow. However, they're so highly regulated. These documents are preordained. Like it's high level of regulation and pre-crafted verbiage. So like
there was one time, and it was one of our buyers, and we had to get it was one of our buyers.
Core Team Hawaiian background? Yeah.
Yes. But it was a refinance.
Okay.
And they had gotten a green loan after buying the property.
What's a green loan?
Like they got a loan, a special loan for PV.
Oh, I see.
And it was through a particular institution that provides their own financing for their product. And clearly they have not done very many subordinations, which a subordination is when we're going to refinance the main mortgage, but we're going to leave the second mortgage alone.
Okay.
Okay, so part of that is we have to get what's called a subordination agreement, which is this person in the second position saying, hey, I'm the green loan. I know that I'm behind this big, massive
I
first
get it.
mortgage.
Subordinate. I'm subordinate to the first people.
Yes.
To Freedom Mortgage or
Right.
whoever holds this loan.
And it's extremely standard. It's
Makes sense.
we do it all the time. So it's not really a
I didn't know
problem.
there was a document. I thought that was like preordained. You didn't even need a document. But typically the second position should sign this thing.
They draft it and they provide it.
Who does? The
and
second
sign.
position?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. But most of them have a very templated where they all look alike. They pretty much all look the same.
Yeah.
And boom, they sign it. We send it to escrow. Escrow validates it and we close.
Okay.
Like it does take time because they don't care. They're not like, we're not making any money off of it. So we do have to get a start on a subordination very early. If we're doing a 30-day refi, we have to start it pretty much like on day 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
But these guys created their own subordination, like their lawyer or whatever, their legal person. And we were looking at it and we're like, this is not approvable. Like our mortgage won't agree to what you're saying.
Yeah.
The stuff that you're saying in this agreement is wackadoodle. Like you're basically saying that we only will take second position in certain circumstances, blah, blah, blah. Right. So anyways, we had to go to battle and ultimately they adjusted and amended it. And we're really lucky because it was actually a legal compliance person that was willing to learn. And now they're going to use that for all future.
That's an example of a time that you guys can affect change in a document.
Yes.
Not the loan documents in the traditional sense when you're buying the house and you sit down to sign. But yeah,
but I think in any, I think 98, 99% of other lenders would have been like, okay, well, the subordination agreement is not approvable. We're done. Like until they figure it out, right? Versus like,
it seems highly technical.
Yeah, this has to change. This clause has to change. This clause has to change. Us going back and saying like, will you consider that request? They literally went to the owner of the company to see if they could make the changes. And that, took time. But ultimately, they made all the changes needed so that it was recordable because I explained to them that none of their people are going to be able to refinance. And that's going to start to make people not want to do business with them.
Yeah, they owe you.
They do.
They owe you guys. One thing that I was thinking earlier, you guys can affect and you guys can help with and craft is like profit and loss statements, balance sheets for 1099 people. So like maybe
we can explain to someone what it is.
Yeah, not do anything nefarious, but someone might have sloppy books.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, your Sharpie on a napkin with whiteout, it's probably not going to fly.
Right.
So we can help you craft your literal numbers, the way your business runs, but make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Make it look nice.
And I think that's something that's also far and few between.
Yeah.
Just to have that comfort level to explain it. And even
when I bought recently, you guys had to look at, even though I have clean books now, you still had to like look at it and I think help me create the balance sheet. And in talking about it, not many people.
Yeah,
because many people could do that.
Right. Yeah. And that's a lot to do with Derek's background in public accounting, but a lot of
it's
smaller.
Like irritating how elementary it is to him.
Right.
It's so elementary to him.
He's like, what do you mean
know
they
the difference in a balance sheet and a P&L and how they relate to one another? And I'm struggling from my one accounting class. I'm like, debits, credits. And he's like, very good. I'm like, I hate when you talk to me.
Yeah, but a lot of small businesses don't really have a documented balance sheet. And that is something that we do need.
Well, you're lucky if they have P&Ls even.
Yeah.
Like a monthly or annual P&L, a lot of businesses don't have, right?
Yeah. And you need a year-to-date P&L always, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So one way or another, it has to be drafted, and it's just the year so far that has occurred, gross receipts
Mhm.
and expenses. Really, that's a profit and loss statement to come
Yeah.
up with a net income. And obviously, we want that net income to be the same or better than what the previous tax year was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have any questions?
Nope.
Less questions today,
No,
yeah? Okay. What are you seeing in market trajectory, up or down?
So
And there's a lot of talk about either a new chairman and or a commitment to reduce rates in December, which I always scoff at because I'm like, whatever, it's either pre-baked in and then whatever. But yeah, what are you seeing?
we are seeing it's forecasted to trend downward.
Okay.
However, rates are up right now.
So like what's today's VA and what's today's conventional?
So VA is kind of a funny spread where the 5.75 we're able to give a good amount of lender credit. But even if they were to say like, oh, well, we don't need lender credit because we have already have our pot that we're going to use for our closing costs. And so we don't want a 5.75, we want the lower rate. Then you move all the way from getting a lender credit into paying points in order to secure the eighth lower in rate. It's a big
So what I'm looking
Delta.
at on Jody's paper is like 5.625 if you pay a third of a point,
mhm.
a 5.75 if you pay and you get some lender credit back,
Yeah.
almost the same. On an $800,000 loan, for example, what's the spread between those two?
It's a lot. So
And when I know Jody comes on here as like, oh, this is the rate with the lender giving you some credit back. And you're like, what does that even mean? Like credit, like you tell my parents they did a good job. Like what is that? Well, whenever you do a loan, there are costs to doing the loan. Right? There's a lot of people working and a lot of things that happen to make that loan happen. Some of those costs can be, you get like a voucher, you don't pay as much of the cost. But then your interest rate's slightly higher, or sometimes it's a lot higher. Just depends on the product and the timing of the market. In
Yes.
this case, the difference in the rates, not that much, but the difference in them giving you credit versus you paying is
it's like 5Gs.
$5,000-$6,000. So
That's a big spread.
whereas the payment on an $800,000 loan between the two, what do you think would that be about?
It depends.
That's a tough question
It would
on
be
the
about
spot.
100,
$100?
probably a little less. Let's say 80.
So 56.
So 960 a year that you're paying if you go with the lower rate, but you're basically paying 5,600
like
for it.
7 years, 6 years. So like 6 year, like there's about a 6-year difference in these two costs. And so anyways, here's how that goes. Rather than diagnose the whole thing here and get too in the weeds,
Yeah.
It goes like this. Either you want to do what Jody and I just started to do, went halfway down the road and run every little number and think about the probability of, well, I'm only here for 4 years because I'm military, so I might as well take this rate versus that. But no, it's forever home and I'm a real Dave Ramseyer, so I'm going to do this and do that. Or what's the chances I refi? We're at 5.65 guarantee. I feel I'm going to be able to refi to at least a 5.1 within 5 years. And we run all these probabilities, and then you make the decision because you're super technical, or you don't think like that. Doesn't make you less smart. Might just make you more decisive and successful. You go, less cost today. I'll do the other one. I'll take the 5.75. I'll only keep my $6,000. All right, done. Keep it moving. Kind of goes one of two ways, right?
A lot of people, like yesterday, we were like, there was a special and we got this really good lock-in on this huge loan, 1.3 million or something, 0 down. And they had previously been in escrow, so we kind of had an idea of like what they were going to want in terms of rate and like points or no points or lender credit, etc.
Yeah.
So we locked on the special and we were like, amazing, we got you a 5.5 at 0 points. Right. And then they're just like, it's a little bit more than we were anticipating. Plus we decided we want to do this to the kitchen and the bathroom. So now they don't want to spend their money, right? So now it's a no-brainer for them to go with a slightly higher rate and not spend the money and keep the money. So
Yeah.
with any given circumstance, any different property of interest, ultimately it'll differ.
Yeah.
And those are things that we do talk about in real time so that there's real confidence in the strategy. And that's why it's a huge pet peeve when, we're kept out of the loop, which doesn't happen with core team. But when it's like all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they're submitting an offer on this house, and we have, please send us the pre-approval because we have like 35 minutes before they're going to make a decision. And then we skipped this whole like runway of going over numbers and sharing the rate and talking about the house itself and what they might or might not want to do with their money, to like, oh, okay, here's the pre-approval. And then they get into escrow. And now on a 30-day escrow in the holiday season, you literally have to start on day one because of all the holidays. And so
so now that happened on a Sunday. It's Monday. We're already 29 days left, and Dr. So-and-so is in surgery today. Not gonna be able to talk all day. Tomorrow has clinic. It's Wednesday before we talk.
Right.
We're already 3 days in. We know we're using the extension. We're not gonna be able to close on time.
Right.
Because we didn't kind of respect the craft of the complexity of what happens on the lending side prior to getting this offer put together. Yeah. The lending side, it's interesting because agents typically, for many different reasons, I don't want to say for whatever reason, but for various reasons, typically the relationship comes from the agent first. Not always, but a lot of times the agent kind of anchors the relationship. It's because you start looking for homes, you talk about what your preference would be, and then most people then meet the lender secondary, and then sometimes things go so well that they don't even understand how complex, hard, or important. They don't know to respect the lending side. But I'll sit here and admit, once we're in escrow, a lot of our work has been done up front. It's been done between the consult 90 days ago and the looking at homes and the getting your tolerance on, do you want to be aggressive in offers? Do you want to be less aggressive? Do you want to have shorter timelines, longer timelines, setting expectations? There's going to be some jiggly toilet handles. I don't think we have room to ask for them to fix those. Or, you know what? We own them. We have them by the cojones, and we can ask for everything. A lot of that's done prior, and then we kind of release the reins to the lender. If nothing crazy happens, if we don't find termites, if we don't catch the seller lying, if a body doesn't die, halfway on the neighbor's property and halfway on ours in mid escrow. If crazy things don't happen, it might be relatively smooth on our side, but then the lending side could get super technical, right? Because, well, now your HR is saying you can work virtual, but not in Hawaii, or you can work virtual, but they didn't specify Hawaii, or this, like, oh, you decide you want to renovate the kitchen because now you went for an entirely different home. You said you would never do a fixer, but now you're doing a fixer and you need 30,000 more of liquidity. And now we need to change the numbers, but we wrote a 29-day escrow. So now we don't have time. The lending side can get, here, short version, I wouldn't want to be a lender. I wouldn't. The nice part is you're not out showing homes, and, Sunday is not as big of a day for you and your side of things, but there's a lot of times I look at what they're doing and I'm like, there's no way. I'm not interested. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
No,
you get some good, easy ones.
Yeah.
But it can be very hard.
It can be very hard. And there's just a lot. It's a high stress thing because the buyer is already kind of, it's the biggest purchase of their lives, most of them.
Yeah.
And so they're already on edge, right? And then it's like, no, remember we went over these numbers. It's the same form. And they'll call me. This just happens. It's just the way it is. They'll be like, I'm so confused. Like, what am I looking at? And I'm like, it's it's the same document that we've gone over 17 different properties together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same one.
Well, but as a buyer, it's like, well, but now I'm paying attention.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like,
now I'm heightened. I'm peaked.
yeah, it's like, what's this escrow settlement fee for $3,300? I'm not paying that.
Well, and it's hard. This document she's referring to, it's hard to look at. It's like it's hard to decipher and understand. Even if you've done it 100 times, you're like, wait, who paid $2,000 for the property taxes? Because we're halfway through the year. It's like doing that whole accounting balance sheet thing, but like for every transaction, and the numbers are different every time. It is an annoying document.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do have a question.
All right, we have a question, and we'll start to wrap it up. Where is Joe NDA? Joe sounds litigious. NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Can the home seller negotiate the commission percentage with their realtor? For example, Derek wants 6% commission. Joe said, how about 3%? Sure. And I'll tell you, 6% would be atypical. I'm open to making whatever amount of money. If you're like, Derek, look, I'm coming to you and you're going to have to be my daughter's therapist, my dog's therapist. I have no money, so I need you to front my, I have no shame in making money. However, 6% is not typical. What you're thinking is the buyer and the seller side together. Typically, when you hear 6%, it's the combined commission of both sides. So I just want to clarify that first. But could you say, Derek, I don't want to pay the commission that you prefer to make. I want to pay a different amount. Yes, you can. However, I don't have to work with you either. And so 3% on my side for the seller would almost always be fine. That's what I'm looking for. But if you're saying, Derek, you're going to have to somehow make 3% work between you and the other agent. So Derek, you can have the 3%, but I'm not paying the buyer's agent squat. You also are within your right to do that. You are always within your right to do that. Even before, class action lawsuit that happened and was enforced last August. However, the likelihood of your home selling and of it working out for you is relatively low. We have sold since that rule, since the rule didn't change, but the paperwork changed, and since it became commonplace to discuss, do you have to pay the buyer side rather than just an assumption that you do? What we have seen is the listing side, that the seller who owns the house, who's owned it for 20 years or whatever the case may be, is paying the commission to the buy side, whether it's through the form of a concession. They are paying that to get the deal done almost every time. When we've seen it be different is once the seller was actually underwater, impending short sale, and had to bring a large check to escrow to get the home sold. And so the seller paid 1% and then the buyers paid the rest to us. We've also seen it where agents are on the other side. So we're on the listing side and the real estate agent wants to buy the house for themselves. And then we say, hey, we got 6 offers. You're not the highest. But if we were to cancel your commission, then you'd be the highest. Do you want to do that? It's just not common. So you can do anything you want. In fact, most agents don't want to put this out there, but you can be a for sale by owner. You can go and market your home and run ads in Midweek magazine and the Honolulu, what is it now? Star Advertiser Bulletin?
Star Advertiser.
Star Advertiser. You can run ads and try and sell your own home and on Facebook Marketplace and do whatever it is that you want to do with your own home. That's the beauty of America. You can pay anything you want. Different agents have to look at that. And if you want to work with them and say, well, I'm only willing to pay $500 to each side, different humans who run their real estate business have to decide, does that make business sense for me? The exposure, the effort, all of the things, does it make sense for me to do that? And remember, agents don't get paid and lenders don't get paid until it's closed. And so there are a lot of times where we never get paid. But anyways, I'm not into the whole I never get paid and I work in the evenings and weekends. I don't think people want to hear that, and I don't like talking about it. But short answer is you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever commission you want, and then it's just a conversation between the two entities. Does it make sense for each? I had something I was going to say in closing, but I think kicking it back to you, but I can't remember. Oh, I was going to say the good thing about lending is in the deal, you're typically not having to like combat or have an opponent of another realtor on the other side. In a way, the lending team does sometimes have to appease the other side. And so the listing side is calling Jody and her team being like, hey, where's the loan approval? And then you're like, it's not due for 5 days. I don't know, like, why are you calling me? Sometimes they have to deal with that sort of stuff. But for the most part, that's left to us, the agents. But on the other side, you guys have to deal with even more realtors than us sometimes. You have to sort of entertain and appease all sorts of realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I think about whether or not to be a lender, it'd be nice in some ways, but it's really tough work. On the topic of the day, there's things that we can change and affect, and there's things that we can't change and affect. We are both very good at our craft in our respective lanes, lending and on the agent side. And go to coreteamhawaii.com if you want to connect. If you want to start with lending, which a lot of people probably should, we'll introduce you to Jody's team right away. Anything else?
No.
What's the conventional rate today? We didn't go over that.
It's about 6.125.
That's pretty good. You say they're up, but
They are up.
up from what?
From last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not by much though. Yeah.
Not by much.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, there is no reason really for them to be up because the forecasting is that they're going to go down.
The baking in hasn't happened yet.
The bake hasn't happened yet. And I was explaining to the team that a lot of it has to do with ops because
Ops.
like the operations, like, you know how we are a broker and we work with all these wholesale lenders.
Mm-hmm.
So the wholesale lenders generate their rates, and on any given week /day /hour, they can drop a special and say like, hey, we're going to do this amazing special for like the next 60 minutes for anyone that can get a lock-in, and then be done with it, and then make the rates a little bit higher so that nobody is locking, because operationally they have to be able to keep up with the fulfillment. So they have to be able to do the disclosures, and they have to be able to underwrite the loans and approve them. And it's the holidays. And
That's interesting.
yeah,
It's kind of like say you're gonna get your bathroom remodeled, and the company is, we're thin right now. Here's $10,000 for your remodel. But the company's like, I have no guys, I have no trucks, I got no hammers, nails. Like, 40,000.
yeah,
Because if you're willing to do it for 40, I'll figure it out. Not as big of a difference, but I guess the wholesale lenders do that too.
yeah,
They're like, we're kind of fat right now. Here's higher rates.
right.
Interesting.
And that's why you have to be good at what you do and diligent in looking at all the different rates, because we have our top tier lenders that give us just better pricing than everybody at all other like brokers and just most other companies. But if our top tier is slammed, they might artificially increase the rates. But that's our normal top tier, right? So we're like, that's who we expect to go to.
Well, so what if you're a banker and you only put your loans through one entity?
Then when they get slow and their rates go up, that's it. Their rates are up. And
Yeah.
that's their option. And they can gamble and they can try to float.
What's that mean?
That
Float?
means, hey, you're accepted. You're in escrow. Congratulations. This is the current rate. And as you recall, the rate I previously gave you was a little bit lower. I think that my ops is just a little bit backed up, and I do think they're going to go back down. So we can go through the process, but I'm not going to lock you in until they go back down. But there's a chance that they may never go back down, and they may go up, and then
I screwed you.
Yeah, and then you're not locked.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that's a gamble, and it can be a confident, educated gamble, especially if you know your ops, right? And you're getting the proper intel.
Yeah.
But also if you don't know your ops and you just don't really know what's going on, then
So typically, my point to the people out there is typically better to have your lender be able to broker your loan to multiple different sources rather than just one.
yeah.
There are rare instances. If there was an instance where we felt like this bank option was better for you, then we would talk about that. But almost always, I like for it to be a broker who can go to multiple rather than just one. So, all right.
I mean, there's a bunch more that came in. But,
Bunch of questions came in.
yeah, there's a couple questions.
Oh, Tropical Ding Dong, my guy.
Ding dongs in the house.
Today, my closing date anniversary on my Macau property. Congrats. How common are all cash purchases in the buying process? I feel like it depends. So there might be a building where all cash purchases are super common because that's the only people who can buy in that building because of whatever reasons, whether it be litigation or some problems with the building is, and it has to be all cash. Now in the single family realm where that is almost never the case that it would have to be all cash, there are instances like cloudy title or something, but I would say less than 10% of the time, especially in this market. Now, in 2021, we were seeing all cash more often, but then they would go refi and get their money out. They're using all cash to win against 20 other offers, but then they still wanted the leverage. They wanted the loan at the 2.5% that you could get it at the time. And so you'd see cash more often because the market required it. A lot of people don't want to give up their liquidity, give up their free cash. You know, they have $800,000. They feel better about having a loan for a portion and putting their 800 in their retirement account or whatever.
One thing to remember about the all cash and then flipping to the refi is that when you want your money back, you got to play by the rules. I have a lot of people that buy cash and then they're like,
just assume they're going to get a refi.
Yeah. And they get very upset when I'm like, okay, so I need the taxes. I need the bank statement. Oh, I need to know where this large deposit came in. And I'm scrutinizing the loan as if you were buying it, as if I would scrutinize anybody else's loan, following the guidelines and following the rules. Just because you paid cash doesn't mean that like, it's like, that was my money I put in, give it back to me. That's kind of
I could see where someone would think that, right? Like you're never been in finance or real estate or anything similar. You're like, bro, I got $1 million. Like, you're gonna give me the loan, and I'm gonna have $1 million. Like, obviously, I'm smart and successful, but lending doesn't care about your IQ or your hygiene financially, or there's guidelines and rules and lanes and steps, and you got to follow them, even if you're a doctor. We ran into an instance where there was a physician who was like, don't worry, I got this. Well, they didn't got this.
Right.
And it became very challenging. What you buy for a house at year 5? Tropical Ding Dong, what do you mean? 5-year anniversary. What do you buy for a house at year 5? Oh, as a gift? I'll let Jody answer.
I don't know.
You're a good gift giver.
Year 5. Yeah, but my gifts are like for the person, not the house. But
you believe that like entities can have energy like that. So
I definitely do. I mean, I would always say some level of master clear quartz, a clear quartz crystal. I'm not sure what. I'm sure if you look it up, there's an actual like at year 5, it's supposed to be this.
Yeah. Sole Dad Monster Bra said, "Hey, Tropical Ding Dong is here." He sounds like he was able to take part in our exchange last week, maybe, or he was watching in. Tropical Ding Dong said all cash also more common on Big Island and volcano zones, which is a good point because you can land in zone 1 but not 2. Is that or 2 but not 1?
We can land in 3.
In 3, but
not 2 and 1.
Oh, not 2 and 1. Yeah. Yeah. Gammon Brown 9898 says, how much more difficult is a VA loan nowadays on Oahu, Waianae area in the 500s?
Not difficult at all. Easier.
Yeah.
Easier than all the others.
And yeah, I respect and appreciate that Jody would say that out loud, because you have we're in a deal. I'm going to say it. AT if you're watching, we're using your lender. I'm probably going to call you today or tomorrow because I'm going to have a meeting with them and go over this. Your lender is incompetent, brother, and has caused us to be delayed. And this whole, I am a VA specialist, and I've gone to these VA seminars where they're like, don't get caught with someone who doesn't know how to do the complexities of the VA loan. The VA loan is easier. It's easier. And usually the people, not always, but a lot of times the people who are doing the VA loan, in addition to the loan program, not always, it can be complex.
Mm-hmm.
You can have like 2 members with partial entitlement and a home that's not on the approved VA list because it's a CPR. Like there can be complexities to it.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of times it's easier, and the people who are doing the VA loans tend to have just normal plain money, like W-2 government money, and it's easy, right? Allows for a higher debt to income tolerance, and just it's easier. And so I would always want to go with someone who's honest and real about something like that. There's someone who's trying to like build this facade that you want to be careful and go with me.
Hard.
Yeah.
I mean, or like that there's all these secrets. Like there's rules and guidelines, just like conventional has rules and guidelines, just like FHA and USDA. And, you need to know the rules and guidelines, but there's not like some sort of weird, like secret thing that you got to be in the club to know how to do.
Yeah. So for example, your loan officer having been prior active duty means nothing. And in fact, I want to say chances are they could be great. They could be a retired Navy officer and be an amazing lender. However, Jody's got to do some real work. They could be a retired Navy officer or Army officer and be an amazing lender. However, pick one lender who's been doing it for the last 20 years and then one that just got off of active duty. The other one's probably better. Like, a lot of the VA loan stuff is smoke. That's my point. And I appreciate Jody being real about it. Because I was gonna say what she said, but she said it. All right. Do a rave. Did that person explain to us how they're supposed to say their name last time?
I think it was Dua.
Dua
I
rave.
could be wrong.
Yeah, I forget. So I'm sorry. Houseplant. Gotta have COE ready. Yep. I'm going to give you folks a call with my spouse just so I can get honest and clear feedback. Mahalo. Yeah. Hit us up. Go to coreteamhawaii.com. Go to the bottom of the page. Fill out the contact form, especially today on a weekday. Except for Fridays and Saturdays. We might be a little slower to get back. But like Charlotte's ready. As soon as you come in, Charlotte will call you within 5 minutes unless she's on another call. Within like a minute unless she's on another call usually. So go to coreteamhawaii.com. Go to the bottom. Fill out the contact form. All right, we're going to go back to work. This one ran long, but I'm glad. Hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving. I'll talk to you guys next time.